to do things to help the world.
Yeah, did you see how messy the litter is over there?
Let's go and try to clean it up. Wow, this is worse than I thought.
That was fun, but I think we can do more ways to make a difference.
We should give this back to our neighbors for a little Halloween surprise.
Okay, here's the plan. Leave the bag, ring the bell, and run.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's help at the community garden.
Okay.
I love helping the community. It's so much fun.
Yeah. What should we do next?
How about we recycle and compost? It's good for the earth.
Okay.
Let's put some of these weeds in.
Matter isn't just what we're made of, it's also how we can make a difference in the world.
Yeah, making a difference is fun.
And it can be a snap, even without magic. Hello, my name is Cooper Breeze, a 7th grader at PV, and I wrote a story named The Empowerment Project. I stared at myself in the mirror. We've come a long way since our project kicked off last year. I am the president and co-founder of #IMatter, an association that I helped start. It helps with self-empowerment of kids with disabilities. I am proud of the new association. I think it will help many unsure kids grow up to be great things. I fixed my hair and walked out onto this changing room, onto the huge stage, where I was greeted with a huge uproar. I grinned and began my speech. It started when I was at work one cold, dreary Monday morning. I worked at the elementary school in my town and was a special education teacher there. Even on the dreariest of Mondays like that day, those kids could bring a smile to my face. I loved working with Kate, Henry, Isla, Ben, Leo, Abby, and many more kids that I had the privilege to teach. That day, the idea came to me when I first saw Ben's sad look as he walked into my classroom. Ben is in 4th grade, autistic and an extremely bright kid who isn't understood by many of his peers. I want the best for him, and he's kind of like a kid to me. I hate seeing him in this state, so I asked him what was wrong. "I'm not special," he said. "I don't matter." This was horrible that he felt this way, and I was determined to make him feel better. I was sure the other kids also felt this way, and it broke my heart that they would think they don't matter. "Oh, buddy, I'm sorry you feel that way. I think you matter very much. Your optimistic attitude brings brightness to my day every day, and your thoughts bring a new perspective to our classroom. I'm sure you also matter very much to your parents and friends," I said. "Really? I really matter to you? And other people too? That makes me feel so much better. I was worried that nobody cared about me and that I didn't matter," he responded with relief. I nodded and smiled at him. "Try not to think that you don't matter like that again, because you now know that it is not true at all, okay?" "Okay," he smiled back. I was happy that Ben felt important now, but the experience had opened my eyes and made me realize that other kids might feel much like Ben did, and I wanted to do what I could to make sure that no kid ever felt like this, and I had just the idea. I called Ben's parents later that day just to let them know how he felt, and I was pretty sure that I had gotten it all sorted out, but I just wanted them to know how their son was feeling. They expressed their feelings of concern and said they would try harder than ever to make sure Ben didn't feel this way at home. Talking to them, I realized what great hands Ben was in, and it made me feel much better that he has a safe environment both at school and at home. At lunch the next day, I brought up the situation to my principal, Mr. Wood, and explained to him my idea, in hopes that he would have some insight on the matter. I know that a lot of the kids with disabilities and in general have trouble seeing that they matter in this world, and that they serve a purpose, I said to him. So in response, I think that we should start an organization that helps empower kids and helps them make a difference in the world. I think that if set into motion, we could help a lot of kids self-esteem and help the community be a better place all at once. I see, he said. I agree. This is a great way to empower kids and do something great for the community. I will help you try to start an organization like this. I can't wait to get started. That was the start of #IMatter that exploded into a worldwide foundation. 3 months after I got the original idea, we were in the beginning stages of putting it into motion. In order to really empower kids, we would have to show examples of how other kids make differences in the world. Of course, our goal is to also empower kids to help limit depression and help them see how they matter to their parents and friends. Depression has become such a big issue in schools. To do that, we would have to involve schools all around the nation, address the problem, and tell teachers how they can help. This would be our next steps, but first I had to make our foundation known. I had given 3 speeches at City Hall meetings with the help of Mr. Wood, and gotten a ton of volunteers ready to make a difference in these kids' lives. Of course, it was no walk in the park. There was a ton of work that I needed to do to get a brand new organization running, along with a regular day job. There were nights when I could barely keep my eyes open, but I was determined not to stop. It was a problem that kids didn't think they mattered, and it could even develop into bigger problems of suicidal thoughts and actions. It made me shudder to think that kids would think and act in these devastating ways. I had meetings every other night, and when I didn't, I was working on flyers and a website and posts on social media describing our mission. I had a ton of help. I'm so grateful for Principal Wood and all of the volunteers who took on a lot of the work so we could get our message out there. Finally, after 10 months of hard work and advertisements, we went national. I had appearances on national TV weekly, and it got so busy, I was forced to temporarily take a break from teaching. It made me sad that I was not in the classroom with some of my favorite people in the world, but I knew I was helping them in the long run. Our organization was growing by the minute, and we were getting close to going worldwide, my goal for our organization. We had involved school counselors nationwide, and in 31 states, student empowerment was now a part of guidance curriculum for elementary students. In high schools and middle schools, the importance of mental health was stressed around the school and assemblies. Also, if kids came to a counselor, it was ensured student empowerment was a big focus. In special education classes, encouragement and empowerment became more of a focus than it already was. One day, I got a call from the White House telling me that First Lady Elizabeth Lynch would like to get involved in my new foundation. I was so excited. This would make it way easier to spread the word about our foundation. I had a meeting at the White House on Tuesday of that week. I wasn't even very nervous because I truly believed everything our message conveyed. I was sure I could get First Lady Lynch to believe in it too, if she didn't already. Dressed in my best clothes, I Ubered to the White House. Upon arrival at the White House, I went through security. After that, I was directed to an elevator in which I rode up with a Secret Service agent. Once we reached my floor, I was greeted by the First Lady herself. Hello! It is so nice to finally meet face to face. I have been so excited to meet you and talk through your ideas, the First Lady exclaimed. I am very excited to be able to share my thoughts, to share my organization with you in this very historical place, I responded. Following the First Lady, we entered a huge room with a circle table in it. Some of the seats were already taken by some of the First Lady's staff. She took a seat at the head of the table, and I was ushered to the seat opposite of her. We didn't waste 1 minute. We got right down to business talking about my new organization. The First Lady wanted to somehow add it to her platform, which was about mental health awareness, especially in kids. She had the idea that she could fund my program so I could get farther and be able to spread my program across the world under her guidance and influence. I left the meeting later that day, humbled and inspired. The First Lady was an example of a strong woman that I wanted to be able to be for these kids. Back home in Albany, New York, I got back to work on getting it worldwide. I was working on organizing a march in New York City for our cause. All of my students whom I had taught that year were coming, as well as a lot of other kids we had inspired across the nation. The march was planned to be in 2 weeks, right after my scheduled interview on the Today Show. The interview would be the biggest viewed event yet, and then after that, NBC would be filming our march for empowerment and mental health. The First Lady was even going to march with us. 2 weeks later, I flew into New York City for my interview. It went well, but I could hardly focus. I was just too excited for the big march the next day. That night, I got a text from Ben's parents asking if I could meet up with them for dinner that night. When I got to the restaurant, I was greeted by a huge surprise from my former students, their parents, and Mr. Wood. I was so happy to see them, all of them, and hugged each of them. I had missed them. The party that night took my mind off my work, and I had the most genuine fun I had had in a year. Till that night, I didn't realize just how much I missed because of all the work I had. The next morning, feeling as refreshed as I had been in days, I was ready to march. Mr. Wood had bought us all t-shirts that said #IMatter, empowering kids worldwide. The march started at Rockefeller Plaza, and I marched next to the First Lady and Ben, followed by Wood and a lot of other kids. We had about 1,000 people participate. We also had New York Police Department officers following us on motorcycles, leading us on motorcycles so we could march in the street. I was so happy with how the march went. We were able to spread our message in a bold way. That brings us today. We have come a long way, but we can still go farther. We have spread our message to 40 countries, and they are also making changes. Through all of this, I got so caught up in making the kids understand how they matter that I forgot about myself. I never really thought about how I mattered, but now I know. I matter because I believe in all of these kids, and I am an advocate to make sure that they believe in themselves as much as I do. I now understand how I matter as well. All it took was thousands of kids to uncover my purpose. Everyone has a purpose, and it's our goal to help these kids uncover theirs. I finished. I was applauded by the full audience in that auditorium. Now I know I matter. Thank you.
I'm young. I'm ambitious. I'm learning. I'm hopeful. Why do I matter? I'm young. I'm ambitious. I'm learning. I'm hopeful. It doesn't matter who we are. 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 I'm young. I'm ambitious. I'm learning. I'm hopeful. I'm young. I'm ambitious. I'm learning. I'm hopeful. Matter.
Fake it smart cause I don't wanna look haunted, but I'm not wanted. So I try to break free, start to focus on my life and my dreams, cause I just wanna be me. Wanna be me. Keep me up cause I don't know why you don't want me, cause you put me down like 100 times, like 100 times. But 1, 2, 3, I'm ready to run and hide and fly away. 1, 2, 3, I'm ready to run and hide and fly away. It could have been you, it should have been you. Last night was ours, it could have been you, it should have been you. It could have been you, it should have been you. Last night was ours, it could have been you, it should have been you. Raise your hand if you have the answer. No one can change you, but isn't it funny how people do? Life is a story that never ends, cause when someone's gone, it begins again. Ooh, ooh. But 1, 2, 3, I'm ready to run and hide and fly away. 1, 2, 3, I'm ready to run and hide and fly away. It could have been you, it should have been you. Last night was ours, it could have been you, it should have been you. It could have been you, it should have been you. Last night was ours, it could have been you, it should have been you. On a Thursday night, in the city's light, I watch the fire glow. a Thursday night in the city's light. You light up my whole world. It could have been you, it should have been you. Last night was ours. It could have been you, it should have been you. It could have been you, it should have been you. Last night was ours. It could have been you, it should have been you. Did you really think that everything that you did, that you said, I'd forget? Did you really think that if you left me behind, I'd be just fine? So here's a clue for you. Everything that you do is now stuck in the back of my mind. You copy my every step, my every move. Every time I turn around, I can't help but see you too. All I ask from you is to be able to do whatever I'll do without you doing it too. And all I want from you is to show you how to be you. I can't believe that you think you're too good to hang out with me. I can't believe that everything you do turns out so perfectly. But listen up,